Hey guys, it's Dad with Dad's Guide to Adulting. I hope you're doing well and that you're having a great day. In this video, we're going to continue talking about the process of buying a car, and we're going to talk about the titles and the registration that you have to get after you buy the car. After you buy it, you're going to have to register it, get a license plate, and then pay annual registration fees. So first off, the title. You're going to need to register your car and get a title. Well, what is a title? A title is a legal document that simply shows who owns the vehicle. Whenever you buy or sell a car, one of the more important parts of the process is transferring title, which transfers the actual ownership of the vehicle. When you buy the car, you're going to need to get the title from the seller to show that you own it. Different states use different kinds of forms. You can usually find the form online when you search on the state for Department of Motor Vehicles or Department of Driver Services. The contents will usually be the same. It will have a make and description of the car, the model and year, the vehicle identification number or VIN, which we've talked about before, the owner's name, address, and license plate number, mileage at the time of the sale, and a list of any prior damage on the car. So when do you have to do this? Well, there is usually a deadline to register the car and get a title within a certain time frame after you buy it. It's oftentimes 30 days. Depends on the state where you get it. Make sure you know what that is. Also make sure that you know when you buy it whether you are responsible for doing that or the dealer is. Sometimes the dealer will do that for you, which we'll talk about in just a second. So where do you register the car? Well, again, that depends on the state where you live. Most states have a Department of Motor Vehicles called the DMV, or a revenue or transportation agency. Sometimes you register the car with the local tax authorities or the county tax authorities. You can simply do a Google search for your state and the term motor vehicle registration, and up should pop some information to guide you in the process in your state. One note, if you are financing the car purchase, meaning you're taking out a loan and borrowing the money to buy the car, the government agency is not going to ever mail you the certificate of title until after you've paid off the loan. We'll talk about that more in a minute. When you buy a car from a private seller, you need to get them to sign the title over on the car. And if there is a lien, the lien is going to need to be released by the seller before the title can be transferred. Well, basically what that means is they have to pay off any loans that they have owed to dealers or to banks that lend them the money to pay the car before they can transfer title to you. So who does this? Who gets the registration and handles the title? Well, oftentimes the registration will be handled by the dealership. One of the things you want to know when you buy a car is the dealer going to handle that for you. They do that on a regular basis. And if they'll provide that as a service, it's a good idea to let them go ahead and do that since they know what they're doing a little bit better than you do. One thing to keep in mind is that the dealer may ask you to sign a power of attorney in order to allow them to register the car for you. That is generally okay to do that as long as the power of attorney is limited both in scope and in time. What I mean by scope is that you should read what you're authorizing them to do, and it should only say that you're allowing them to register the new car on your behalf, and nothing else. Although I don't give legal advice in these videos, as I've mentioned in another video, a power of attorney can be a dangerous document because basically you are authorizing somebody to act on your behalf and you are bound by the decisions they make. But giving a dealership a power of attorney to register the car, if that's all it says, is usually pretty good. By time, you also want to limit the amount of time they can do that. Sometimes the dealer will put on the power of attorney that they have the power to do that for a year. You don't want them to have that power if it turns out there's some sort of problem with the car or you want to go ahead and sell it to somebody else. Give them maybe 30 days in order to allow them to register the car, but beyond that, they shouldn't have any authority. The paperwork and the information you need to register your title depends upon the state. It will usually include the bill of sale or the contract for the sale of the car, a lien release showing that any debts owed by the seller to the bank that may have lent him or her money to buy the car have been paid off, and an odometer disclosure statement that shows the actual mileage. All right, so now let's talk about license plates. You're also going to need to get a license plate or a tag. The license plate hangs in the back of your car and includes certain letters or numbers. It identifies your car for law enforcement, including police officers. They can usually now, with computer systems, scan your license plate, enter it into their system, and instantly have a copy of any criminal record that you have, your name, address, and traffic violations and that sort of thing. They will also be able to tell very quickly whether you've registered it and paid your required fees. Like your title, you will get your license plate from a government agency, usually the Department of Motor Vehicles or DMV. It will vary by state. Sometimes you can fill out the required information online and they will mail it to you. If you want to do it more quickly, you can sometimes go to the DMV office itself nearest you to get that done, although sometimes they do have long lines. When you buy a car from a dealership, they will give you a temporary license plate to put on the back of your car. It's very important to put that on. It's very easy to do with a little screwdriver. That tells law enforcement that you have applied for your tag, that you just bought the car, and that you will be in compliance with the law soon. That only lasts for a limited amount of time, like 30 days, so don't wait to get your tags. One quick note is don't waste money on custom plates. You don't want to buy plates that cost you more, but also that give away private information. If you get a customized plate that helps people identify you, that can be problematic for identity theft. It could end up being a problem in road rage situations where you don't want people to know who you are if they've gone crazy. So don't get custom plates, just get something random. When you sell your car, you should take the license plate off and then dispose of them. Don't let the other driver take your license plates. You can either throw them away or give them to the DMV. Look on your state website to see what they suggest to do with that. But don't let the buyer drive away with your license plates. In addition, you're also going to have to do an annual registration for your car. You're going to have to pay an annual fee for it to remain registered with the state. Most states do that for 1 year. Some states do that every 2 years. You should get an invoice and a reminder before that is due. The fee depends entirely on state law. It can be a flat fee, or it can be one based on the value of your car. In other words, if it's a more expensive car, you'll pay more in annual fees. One of the things you need to know about the annual registration is that you oftentimes have to get your emissions checked before you can register your car. State laws limit the amount of pollutants that you can have coming out of your car, and they will not allow you to register it if too much is coming out. So what you can do is find a local place. Oftentimes car dealerships have an emissions check place, service stations, auto repair shops. Sometimes you can just go to a local mall and they have an emissions section set up in the parking lot. Get your emissions checked. It takes about 15 minutes. Usually pay about $25 to $50 for that. They will give you a report saying you passed emissions or you didn't, and they will automatically send that report to DMV, and that'll allow you to get your car registered. Registration certificates. Some states require you to have the actual registration certificate in your car with you. When they mail it to you, sign it, put it in the glove compartment, and then forget about it. You have to update it every year. It's a good idea for you to take a photo of that just in case you lose it. If you have it on your phone, if you get pulled over and they require it in that state, you've got a copy on your phone as well. Also, annual registration, sometimes the state will send you a little teeny decal or a sticker. It changes color every year and it usually has the month on it. It shows the month of your birthday, which is usually when the annual registration takes place. So, for example, if it's blue and it says March on it, a police officer pulling you over will know you've got your car registered through March of 2021 or 22, whatever blue stands for. So it's easy to put the decal on. It's a good idea not to forget that once you get it mailed to you. So that's all for titles and registrations. Until next time, remember, you got this.